It was a case that gripped the nation: love, betrayal, and murder unfolding beneath the surface of a seemingly perfect marriage. In December 2002, Laci Peterson, 8 months pregnant, vanished without a trace. What followed was a media storm, a desperate search, and a trial that would end in a death sentence. This is the story of Scott Peterson, the man accused of murdering his wife and unborn son. Was he a cold-blooded killer or a victim of media hysteria? We explore the twists and turns of a case that still divides public opinion. Modesto, California. A quiet, suburban city in the heart of the Central Valley. In 1997, Scott Peterson, a handsome, clean-cut fertilizer salesman, married Laci Rocha, a vibrant and glowing brunette with a warm smile and an adoring heart. To outsiders, they looked like the American dream, a young, beautiful couple with bright futures and a baby on the way. In 2002, Laci was pregnant with their first child, a boy they planned to name Connor. She was due in February. The couple had recently bought a home in Modesto, and Laci was busy decorating the nursery and preparing for motherhood. Scott was often on the road for work, but they were reportedly thrilled about becoming parents. But behind closed doors, something darker was brewing. On the morning of December 24, 2002, Laci Peterson was reported missing. Scott claimed he had left early that day to go fishing at the Berkeley Marina, over 90 miles away. He returned home that afternoon to find the house empty. Laci's car was in the driveway. Her dog, Mackenzie, was still in the yard with his leash on. But Laci was gone. Scott called his mother-in-law, Sharon Rocha. Hours later, the police were contacted, and a search began. The news of a missing pregnant woman just before Christmas spread quickly. Volunteers, law enforcement, and friends canvassed the area, posted flyers, and held press conferences. The community rallied. But as the days passed, suspicions began to turn toward Scott. Scott's behavior raised eyebrows. He seemed detached, even emotionless. He was caught on camera laughing and smiling during the search efforts. He refused to take a polygraph. Rumors began to swirl, and soon the bombshell dropped. A woman named Amber Frey came forward in early January 2003. She revealed she had been dating Scott Peterson for a month, unaware he was married, let alone that his wife was missing. According to Amber, Scott had told her he was single and had lost his wife just weeks before Laci vanished. Frey agreed to cooperate with police and began recording phone calls with Scott. In one chilling call, Scott, while attending a New Year's Eve vigil for Laci, whispered sweet nothings to Amber, claiming he was traveling in Paris. Meanwhile, Laci's family watched in agony as the man they once trusted crumbled before their eyes. The investigation dragged on for months. Then, in April 2003, a couple walking along the San Francisco Bay shoreline made a gruesome discovery. The decomposed body of a full-term male fetus washed ashore, umbilical cord still attached. The next day, the partial remains of an adult female were found nearby. The torso was missing its head, arms, and most of its legs. DNA confirmed what everyone feared. It was Laci and baby Connor. Police moved quickly. Just days later, Scott was arrested in La Jolla, over 400 miles south. He had dyed his hair blonde, grown a goatee, carried $15,000 in cash, multiple cell phones, his brother's ID, and camping gear. Authorities believed he was planning to flee to Mexico. The trial began in June 2004 in Redwood City, after being moved from Modesto due to massive publicity. It would become one of the most heavily covered criminal trials in American history. Prosecutors painted Scott as a man trapped in a marriage he no longer wanted. Motivated by freedom and his affair with Amber Frey, they alleged he killed Laci at home, then transported her body to the Berkeley Marina, where he dumped her into the bay. The defense, led by attorney Mark Geragos, argued there was no physical evidence tying Scott to the crime. No murder weapon, no blood, no DNA. Geragos claimed Laci had been abducted, while walking their dog and suggested a satanic cult may have been involved. But the jury didn't buy it. Scott's lies, especially his deception of Amber Frey, told a different story. His demeanor, his changing stories, and his suspicious behavior after the murder built a circumstantial but compelling case. In November 2004, Scott Peterson was convicted of 2 counts of murder, one for Laci and one for unborn baby Connor. The jury recommended the death penalty. A month later, the judge sentenced him to death by lethal injection. After his conviction, Scott Peterson was sent to death row at San Quentin State Prison, where he spent years fighting to overturn the verdict that had shocked the nation. His defense team launched a series of appeals, arguing that he had been denied a fair trial. They claimed the overwhelming media attention had poisoned the jury pool and that crucial mistakes were made during jury selection. One of the most serious allegations involved a juror who had failed to disclose her own past. She had once sought a restraining order while pregnant, a detail that should have disqualified her due to potential bias. This, they argued, was enough to question the fairness of Scott's trial. In 2020, nearly 2 decades after Laci and Connor's deaths, the California Supreme Court agreed with part of Peterson's appeal. The court overturned his death sentence, citing significant errors in jury selection. However, it did not overturn his conviction. In 2021, his sentence was officially changed to life in prison without the possibility of parole. To this day, Scott Peterson's case remains one of America's most controversial. Some see a manipulative killer brought to justice. Others believe he was condemned by public opinion, not hard evidence. The truth, for many, remains tangled in legal arguments, media influence, and a family's enduring tragedy. The Peterson case became a national obsession. Court TV aired daily coverage. Talk shows dissected every development. Nancy Grace made Scott a nightly headline. The story had all the elements of a made-for-TV movie: a beautiful pregnant woman, a cheating husband, and a shocking betrayal. But was the media too involved? Did the relentless coverage influence the jury's perception? Some legal experts believe Scott Peterson never stood a chance once the public and the press turned against him. Amber Frey became a key witness and later published a book. Laci's family worked to pass new laws, including the Unborn Victims of Violence Act, also known as Laci and Connor's Law, recognizing the killing of an unborn child as a separate offense in federal crimes. Laci Peterson's memory lives on through her family's tireless advocacy for victims of domestic violence and missing persons. Her mother, Sharon Rocha, remains a powerful voice, calling Scott a sociopath and fighting to keep his conviction intact. As of 2025, Scott Peterson remains in prison, his chances of exoneration fading with time. Yet the case still fuels passionate debate. Was justice truly served? Did media frenzy compromise the fairness of the trial? The Peterson case continues to raise haunting questions about guilt without solid physical evidence, about the power of public opinion, and about the dark truth that sometimes hides behind a perfect facade. In the end, justice was served, or was it? For many, the Scott Peterson case represents a clear-cut example of guilt and consequence. A husband who betrayed and murdered his pregnant wife, then lied to the world as he tried to escape responsibility. But to others, it's a troubling case marked by media hysteria, emotional bias, and unanswered questions. Was Peterson convicted on solid evidence or on public outrage? No matter the debate, one truth remains: Laci and Connor Peterson never got the chance to live the lives they deserved. No verdict or appeal can bring them back. Their story is a haunting reminder that evil doesn't always come with warning signs. Sometimes it hides behind familiar eyes and comforting smiles. And sometimes the face of a killer is the same one you once kissed goodnight.